Okay, the next type of settlement that we'll discuss is about urban settlement. Now, urban settlement can be also called as municipal settlement or town settlement. Now, in the previous class, we discussed about rural settlement, where the primary activity of the people were agriculture, that is farming, or you can say fishing industry. That people live by fishing because as they live along the riverside. Now, those products like agriculture or fishing or even animal husbandry, the product produced from them brought about trade and commerce because those things has to be sold in the market. So as a result, different kinds of services or people started to engage in different work, and that led to urban settlement. So urban settlement is mainly based on industries, trade and commerce, and transport. So in other words, we can say that the agrarian settlement, that is village or the rural settlement, because of the products that has to be sold, it led to trade and commerce, and in this way it laid down the base of urban settlement. And the primary occupation of people living in urban settlement is quite different from that of people living in rural settlement, such as education. People work in educational institutions such as teachers, or working in banks, who are known as bankers, or in offices or in multinational companies. And the main occupation living in the urban area falls in three activity. They are secondary activity, that includes household industry and cottage industry. Then tertiary activity, that includes like advocacy, banking service, teaching or accountancy. Then quaternary activity, that based on management, research, and even entrepreneurship. And whereas the primary activity, it basically is related with rural settlement. So in the next, we'll discuss about the activities and characteristics of rural and urban settlement. Okay, now we'll discuss about the characteristics of rural and urban settlement. As you can see, there are few activities which takes place in rural and urban settlement. Now we have four activities: primary activity, secondary activity, tertiary activity, and quaternary activities. Now all these three, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary, these three activities, they are basically related with urban settlement. And whereas primary activity, this is related with rural settlement. Now we'll discuss about what are primary activity, secondary activity, tertiary activity, and quaternary activity. Now, primary activities includes agriculture, animal husbandry, fishery, etc. So these activities are mainly related with rural settlement. Now, every human settlement has some unique characteristics, and among them includes what? The occupation, pattern of houses, land uses, roads, industries, institutions, and these characteristics change in the course of time. Now, coming back to activities, so these are the primary activities, and this is mainly related with rural settlement. And the remaining three that I have told you, that they are related with urban settlement. Secondary activity. It includes household industry, things where which we use in houses, from plates to cups or various everything, refrigerators, chairs, table. So these are all household industry. Even cars, bikes, cycle, they all fall in household industry. And then cottage industry. If you remember, I have told you about cottage industry. Where people at home set up small factories, such as even weaving of cloth, making baskets, or even hand fans. So they fall in cottage industry. So this can be, you can include in rural settlement. The third is tertiary. Tertiary activity. This includes banking service, teaching, accountancy, etc. Even advocates. So all these fall in tertiary activity, and they are related with urban settlement. And the last one, quaternary activity. Includes management, sorry, no space, so I'll write it down. Entrepreneurship, that is establishing their own startup companies,
managing big offices or BPOs or multinational companies. So this falls in quaternary activities, and this is also related with urban settlement. I hope you all understood. Okay, now we'll discuss about the characteristics of rural and urban settlement. Now, a big difference can be seen when it comes to rural and urban settlement and their characteristics. As you can see here, that I have just written a few of them. The main occupation of the people living in the rural areas is agriculture, whereas people living in towns and cities, the main occupation is trade, commerce, and industries. Then people living in the rural area, you can see the population is quite thin. That is, settlement is very thin. Whereas the settlement in town areas is dense and even clustered. Clustered means people living very close by. Then in village or in the rural settlement, transport is not very convenient. You'll not find many vehicles. But in the urban settlement, there is a good transport network. So these are a few characteristics that I've written down. The rest you can find it in the book. Like even in urban settlement, you'll find many institutions, schools and colleges. Whereas in village or rural settlement, you won't find many schools, or the number of institutions in rural area is less compared to urban settlement. So these are the characteristics of rural and urban settlement.
So now let's recall what we have learned in this urban settlement. So now we know that urban settlement is related to trade and commerce, industries, banking, managements, etc. Then we also have learned that the population in towns and cities are dense compared to population in villages, that is rural settlement. And then facilities are far better compared to rural settlement. Now at the end, I should be giving you some questions. Same thing, you have to write them in brief in your copies.